Eti from kwa baba de Tröゥblé TV na message and about channel no hit adoma no subscribe share drop in the latest news bia on sabe kan bi no anya bi etie na ye bobra ensem no the latest news etie for etimi abebo mu no e kame yese Yera Mamudu Bawumi amse ne ho eya ka dwam yes me ka Yera Bawumi amse munyina mbeka owusisi fia ne bi ono ne ye ka no ho asem no na per report on the breaking news in Schendහන්l over 3.5 billion Ghana cedis be scandal be etimi akoswa ni din so etimi adrop see the kinofrata na ni din etop trend wanted Bawumi so de etimi abebom na me pese ye borum na team ora ensem na omde abetodwa no ye DB na say ye be ebramo na ye mongrum ye tie sem ni bia ba de ka ho be de mu sem bebramo.
I don't see how KPMG could do an investigation but Kesi couldn't do an investigation on the SML matter. And for National Cathedral, the facts are out here. So for facts that are publicly available, those ones, I really am struggling to see the extent to which Akufo-Addo could frustrate those investigations. It's usually the ones that don't get public traction, the ones that have not gotten public attention. Those are easier to influence. But the ones that are out openly, National Cathedral, SML, and when it comes to ECG, we all know that ECG, was being used as a sludge, fund, right? That Bawumi, who pretends over ECG, was just using ECG to get funding for his campaign. You said
that we can also.
But the PwC report is out. 3.5 billion could not be accounted. It was under-declared.
Yes,
remember, I said it earlier.
You have said
the cash waterfall mechanism. Bawumi was manipulating the MD. They were making.
That's what I was saying. We can independently.
Yes. So the report is out. Yes. It says that why you set up a cash waterfall mechanism, and yet the MD Dubik Mahama was under-declaring. What were they doing? When they asked him, he said, under declaration is not a crime. He will come and answer how under declaration is not a crime. So I say, when you put all this together, and it was just common, there were stories out there in the public accusing Bawumi of being behind the Haptel contract where they were fleecing ECG, etc. So for me, the thing is that these stories, so out of the four you've mentioned, for matters concerning ECG, National Cathedral, SML, I think to the extent that they were largely in the public domain, the influence of Akufo-Addo couldn't be that much because the public was out there. And besides, I didn't say that, yes, I support Kesi. I've largely supported him, except the matter of the Edubwahin matter, the undue influence where he freed Edubwahin so that Bawumi could also be freed. That's a matter we'll contest in court. Yes, that matter is not done. We'll contest it.
You contest it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we already have 2 cases in court. So sometimes you don't want to have too many. You know, this SML, we've sued. Manasseh Azuri's Media Foundation for West Africa, ASEP, Bemwachi led the CDD, etc. They are in court. We've done a civil suit trying to say because of the procurement breaches and also most especially no work done, the money should be refunded to the state, right? We've sued. So, and then it's the other matter too. So we have these 2 lawsuits. So when you have 2 cases in court, you are wondering whether you should see through those 2 before you come to the undue influence matter, the matter involving Edubwahin and Bawumi, right? Yes, so based on all of this, this particular one, maybe Kesi should have consulted widely beyond his OSP office because timing
You're saying he could have stopped Kenneferata at the airport, for instance?
Yeah, initially, yes. You see, when I said, so that's, you don't wait for that day.
Okay.
Yes, but they could, there's a stop list. That argument, I made it earlier on, all on the basis that, but if we're looking for the man, knowing the surveillance, etc., you would ask national security to help you with surveillance and all that. They could have used the stop list. But that was the initial argument. When a story breaks, we make arguments, later we reflect. Yes, so I said that at the beginning, that I just felt like he had more tools available that could have been stopped to Furiata if he wanted. But subsequently, my stronger argument is that, and even within the same interview, as I was, it was 12 o'clock news on the same day he did the interview, I was talking to TV3. Then I remembered, as I said, the foot soldiers haven't given a warning that people will abscond, etc. So I expected that Kesi would have expedited action. And I say I expect that he would have expedited action because, you know, in September 2023, he started recruiting. He was given clearance to recruit about 230. So I always say that even 50 declined. He had at least 180 personnel, right? And so that's a lot. Why didn't you put people on these cases? Morning, afternoon, evening. Eat, sleep, drink, those cases. He would have gone far. Yes, I appreciate that some investigations can be complex, etc. Yes, but it doesn't look like this SML matter, especially a national cathedral. Yes, we know complex ones, or we know the popular one. You know, Sepp Blatter, before the FBI got him, it was years. The FIFA scandal, years. But these ones don't fall into that category because a lot of the facts are publicly available. Even Shrike did its investigations and saw there were procurement breaches. KPMG did. KPMG's report came sometime in April last, this in 2024. So these cases are not rocket science to say that investigations take years.
Well, and Council, let me do this quickly. I've been joined on Zoom by Sccinndහන්l. He's the Director of Strategy, Research and Communications at the Office of Special Prosecutor. Sccinndහන්l, good morning. Welcome to Key Point. Hello, Sammy. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, good morning, Alfred. Thank you very much.
Great. And can you put your video on because we cannot see you, unless that's the preference you want to go with?
Yes, there's a bit of a challenge here.
I can hardly hear you.
There's a bit of a challenge here. That's why I'm unable to turn on my video. But if you can hear me, then we can proceed.
Okay. Well, we can hear you, actually. So, first off, now, were you informed of this letter that Ken Ofori-Atta, through his lawyers, wrote to the Chief of Staff as of the 22nd of January about he going on outside of the country for some medical checkup?
Alfred, thank you very much. First of all, let me say that the issue has nothing to do with whether Mr. Ofori-Atta informed the previous Chief of Staff of a planned trip to abroad or informed the current Chief of Staff of a plan to abroad. That has nothing to do with law enforcement. It has everything to do with maybe courtesies and other things that you need. When the law enforcement agency is done with its investigation and it demands your presence, there are reasons why they may agree with you to postpone when you have to appear before them. One of the reasons being that you are so sick, you are bedridden, or where you are is practically not possible to return to the jurisdiction. This is one of the reasons why arguments about why didn't you stop Ofori-Atta from traveling, why you have delayed doesn't hold any water. Every Ghanaian is free to go in and out of this country until your presence is needed. When your presence is needed, you ought to show up. The OSP, as has been said, has been able to interview people via Zoom, have been able to speak to people outside, and these were largely persons of interest. There's a difference between a person of interest and a suspect. And in some instances, the OSP has interviewed some people also outside this jurisdiction, purely also because they were citizens of another country, and that country was unwilling to deport them to Ghana. I do not want to go into matters of international cooperation, but there have been huge challenges where a country is also of the opinion that the citizen has not committed any offense and is unwilling to release that citizen. In that instance, for things to move on, if they guarantee that you can now come to their country and do something like that, you can go. Mind you, you can't just go into another country and start doing your investigations in that country. You'll be breaching international laws. There are processes you have to follow. Again, Mr. Oforiatta, or neither him nor his lawyers, have brought any option as to say, like I said, an option that says that, okay, we need you to come to this place and maybe talk to us. I'm just saying an option. It doesn't mean that we may accept or we may not accept. The point we have made is that it is not about the frequency of correspondence between us and Mr. Oforiatta. It's not about that. It's about whether Mr. Oforiatta is willing to come down to the jurisdiction, or that he perceived the invitation to come to Ghana as something that will inconvenience him.
Well,
that is why.
But the issue raised here is that once his letter predates that invitation that you sent to him 2 days after, your conclusion that, and I'm reading specifically from the statement that Kesi read this week, that the OSP is unconvinced that the purported medical letter transmitted by Mr. Oforiatta through his lawyers to you, the Office of Special Prosecutor, represents a medical report. To that effect, Mr. Oforiatta is incapacitated or is so sickly and invalid to the extent that he is physically unable to return to the jurisdiction without imperiling his life. And you're saying that no serious law enforcement agency would be convinced that the purported medical letter that you got stops it from demanding the physical appearance of Ken Oforiatta before it describes the circumstances. Why that conclusion?
I think it's exactly what I just said. I've said that unless you are telling us that, so your doctor can write a letter to us, but if your doctor does not tell us that your condition is such that you cannot even sit on a plane. For instance, if you sit on a plane to Ghana, you're going to die, or that you cannot even spend 30 minutes on a plane, or you cannot travel. That's what we are saying, that such reasons have not been provided.
I see.
It will just that Mr. Oforiatta is able to travel, but because him coming down to Ghana may inconvenience his already planned medical trip, maybe that's the reason why it doesn't. And we are saying that that is immaterial, because when your presence, and people have said that Mr. Oforiatta was in Ghana and blah, blah. Nobody knows Mr. Oforiatta was in Ghana. You do not know whether he has been going in and out of Ghana for treatment. And it happens all the time. There are people in Ghana here who are standing trial, who are appearing before police, and they still have medical conditions. They appear and they go back to the hospital to treat themselves. There are people here who are arrested and put in cells, and they have even said that they were not getting a medical treatment. Some people are even handcuffed behind by the bed and all that. This is not what anybody is saying. What we are saying is that you need to give us a reasonable grounds as to why you are unable to come down to Ghana. And then the second one is that you either have to also provide us with a tentative date. So for instance, we wrote to you and you said, okay, I'm on a medical leave, and that I will be back in April, by the end of April.
Okay.
You would have been satisfied with that. But if you leave it blank, as if it will rain, it will not rain, it means when I'm done with it, then I will come. When are you done with it? You yourself, you don't know. So if 2027, we wait for 2027, that's to stretch it.
Well, so you wanted that specific detail from his doctor and that letter that we saw as to whether he could even walk or not even be able to get on the plane. I think you've explained that quite extensively. Now, the other matter is that the 4 cases that you referenced in the case of Ken Oforiatta are not new.
I think 5.
Hello?
They are not 4 there.
The 5 of them. They are not new. And in fact, a number of them, all of them occurred between at least the outcomes of either some ad hoc committee sittings or parliamentary hearings occurred between 2022 and 2024. In the case of, for instance, the National Cathedral, that ad hoc committee started in 2023. We saw how the details of it played out. And it was clear that due process had not been followed. That's number one. the SML, the investigation was conducted in 2023. The KPMG report was released sometime in March 2024. So what prevented you from instituting investigations into these cases earlier than now that Ken Ofori-Atta is out of the country?
Well, everyone is entitled to hold an opinion based on how they are seeing it. Yes, it's true. The cases, some of them, the ECG one dates to 2022 when the official complaint was filed. For instance, none of you knew, and you will say you know. You didn't know we were investigating Ms. Ofori-Atta. And I'm happy a panelist had referenced the fact that it had been said in Parliament that this is the first letter to Ms. Ofori-Atta. Indeed, this will be the first letter. Because at the OSP, our approach is that we will do all the...
It must say, some of your bread, what Likee Tv, so.